Hello and welcome to today's video. It is the 4th day of January 2017. It is a Wednesday, and we're going to take a look at the daily chart for silver as well as the daily chart for Bitcoin. The Bitcoin ratio with gold, a quick little chart that I drew up, and my Bitcoin wallet. Apparently transactions are viewable on a Whois report. I want to talk a little bit about that as well. And let's get started within the daily chart in silver. But before I do that, I quickly want to go over yesterday's video where I asked for thumbs down, then thumbs up. I did that for a couple of reasons. The first was to see how many people would actually do such, although very difficult for me to see. All I seen was a 13th rater did. And then I'm sure maybe 5 or 6, 7 others as well. I wanted a lot of ratings, both high and or low, and I got 5 or 20%, I should say. 1 in 5 that rated my video up yesterday. That is extremely amazing, really good. And only 1 thumbs down at the end of the day, which was unexpected. I was thinking 3, 4, or 5 was going to be the case. And because the ratings were so good, that usually means those videos get promoted. So now that's what I want to see, because a lot of talk has been now with now Donald Trump being president, that you have these algorithms among fake news, and I don't know what the definitions for the words fake and or news happens to be, that they just don't get promoted. So I want to see if that video yesterday will get close to 1,000 views, which is what my promoted views last year were getting. Okay, so that was why I put that up as I did. Thank you so much for participating and getting the results that I needed from our end, your end as well. Okay. Let's take a look at this. We've had a little bit of a breakout up to the 18 average of highs, just barely getting above it. It originally found support on Thanksgiving at this key Fibonacci point. Okay, rally, but it obviously sold off big here. Fighting resistance among Fibonacci, but not going really any further. Breaking this point in yesterday's session and holding yesterday's gain amongst this 18 average of highs. So market's neutral with what is already a bear market. To break neutrality, I need to see resistance established with the eyeball test passing above the 18 average of highs. That's not big enough. So 16 3/4 minimum, somewhere around that area there. And then of course that would make the 18 average start to rise. So at that point, I'd either need for it to go way up like Bitcoin's been doing, or for it to come back to the band and then break higher. One of those two things. Usually the first one never happens too often. It's usually something like I state, like that. Anyway, that's what I'm looking for on the reversal of trend. And as I've been stating for the entire month of December, and it's going to remain true as long as the market's in this area. If it breaks this support, then it's not going to look pretty for a bullish side. It's going to look very pretty on a bearish side, because it's going to go to at least 1522 most likely on that situation. Of course, Bitcoin today, about a 10% update as of this point, making it up to the previous high of 1095. And within this move, we can see from this breakout of resistance that, well, 3 decent green candles in a row. And then what was, and I'm going to use a keyword was, 2 decent red candles in a row. Because when this point was at here, it was a large red candle at that time, of course. And it hit the 18 average of highs barely, but it's still a correction, price correction. Then it was 1, 2, 3 green candles high, with the last one being the biggest and the break of resistance, with 3 small red candles in correctionary mode, close to finding their support at the resistance, barely above that point. But since the break of this resistance, we can see 2 good green candles, a sideways day, and a massive one today. Now at some point, this thing could very easily roll over and just hit whatever kind of numbers, but this thing is going up pretty good. And you can make a case, because it's at a high it hasn't seen in quite some time, that it's more likely to resist in some form. But even then, a lot of times, if that's accurate, and it does, okay, so maybe it falls back down to 8 maybe 820 within the next 4 or 5 days or whatever, how much longer, and then it just rebounds and gets it back again, because that would be a more likely situation if that event does take place. How is this resistance area going to act? If it just breaks through it, this thing is going to continue on flying again, most likely. And it's going to establish some new areas. I got 35.59, but that's going to take a while at many different levels to get to that point. And that's by taking the high of 1095, dividing it by 163, that gives you a number around 6 or 7. And you put it to the power of the Fibonacci that I'm looking at. In this one case is 1.618. And then I multiply it by the low again. So that's how I'm calculating these numbers. And yeah, it could take a while, but who knows within these charts? Maybe it happens in February or March. It's a bit a wild chart, which is the reason why I'm doing it, because I really don't own much. And yet I'm still covering these charts. That's how interesting it is. But I do find this whole thing very attractive in the sense that if I ever do try to find any type of work throughout the internet, that it's a way of getting paid. It's also a way of paying for anything you need. That's a lot better than PayPal, as one person was commenting it as well. But when I got Bitcoin for the first time, and Who Is Search found this, and I was pretty amazed that this came up, that on the morning of July the 10th, I was watching a video on like a Corbett Report or JSNP4 type of channel, probably talking about real money. Definitely one of the truther movements of some sort. And the comments stated, gold, silver, and Bitcoin is real money. First person to reply to this comment will get $10 in free Bitcoin. And I replied about this whole about gold and silver being money and how fake fiat currency or something is. But I can't get the Bitcoin because I don't have any type of way of receiving it. And he explained to me how I could with any social media account. So I did. This is what he told me early afternoon, around 1 o'clock. Throughout the day, here and there, I was trying to get it into cash. And my instinct was just hold it, see what happens. Probably should have listened to myself, but so be it. I was able to turn into a fantasy sports site that day at 17:58 or 6 o'clock. It took me about an hour to get it to that site. So I was very unhappy. A year and a half ago, it took forever for me to transfer $10 US. I was not happy about that, but I obviously got what I was looking for. And yeah, so I ended up transferring to the site. Long story short, the $10 probably turned out to gain me 2.5x. Not too much, but I ended up turning into it. But during that time frame of when I got the Bitcoin, which was right around actually 2 o'clock, not 5 o'clock, to the time I sold it at around 6 p.m., the price had went from, well, 349 to 360, so it jumped about 3%. So that meant on my $10 that I had about 30 cents or so left. And to this day now, I got about $1.75 just from change of 3% on $10, which I find really interesting. But I do like the idea that you can make these payments. Now they say it's anonymous. I guess some of the details are, but the fact that you can actually have proof of payments and such, I think is a very good idea. But that's just, again, what I think is a good idea anyway. Anyway, this is the end of the video. Take care and have yourself a great day. Bye-bye.